What is going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about Kreela Witcharm in the Clan Boss. We have two different versions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a run with Kreela and a counterattack champion. Then I'm going to show you some screenshots without using a counterattack champion, just so you get the first-hand look on how good this champion can actually be in the Clan Boss if you decide to use her. The team I'm going to be using to showcase Kreela Witcharm is going to be Alton as the leader, Dracomorph of course, Valkyrie with our counterattack, Whirlum Frost King as our defense up offset with Alton since he's going to be stunned. Also that strengthen buff, which is absolutely gigantic, on top of his increased crit damage buff and the insane damage that he actually deals himself. And then finally we're going to have Kreela Witcharm. So now let's get into this run and see how we do in action here. So before I keep it on auto, we're going to defense down weaken with this Dracomorph. Already off to a great start with that resist. We are going to use Alton's defense down first, followed by Whirlum Frost King's increased crit damage, because I do want to stagger both of the defense up abilities to make sure Valk's always going. And now I'm going to use this increase attack and increase crit rate. One huge benefit to using Kreela Witcharm, and obviously we're going to throw it on auto. So one huge advantage to using Kreela is you can actually build lower crit rate on all of your champions. Since this is a 3-turn cooldown, it's only going to be a 1-turn buffer with your champions not having the full crit rate. So it's definitely safe from what I saw to be able to gear your champions with 75 to 80% crit rate and still have a very consistent run. So that's the key takeaway from here. And on top of that, Kreela actually does a ton of damage. These champions, I did gear them with a little bit of defense. I mainly focused on attack here. And as we can see, Kreela is taking the stun. So that's definitely going to move back her cooldowns and how it's going to be used. One thing to take away, unfortunately, is the fact that when Kreela does use her A1, she does apply a shield, and that shield will in fact overwrite Valkyrie shield, as we just saw there going at Alton there. It is using the lowest HP champion and it's swapping the shield. That is definitely the only downside to this team, especially since I'm not running any type of lifesteal on these champions here. So as we can see, that strengthen buff went up and Alton's basically taking no damage with that 838 shield. Now one strong point with Kreela as far as having that shield going on the champion, if you don't have a Valkyrie, if you're using someone such as a Skull Crusher or a Martyr for a counterattack champion, the shield does not affect threat at all. So this gives your champion taking a stun the extra buffer, and it could be the difference between you surviving or not surviving the last stun that your champion gets to, which is actually very huge. I have everything booked but the last level of the shield in her A1, so the shield can definitely be even bigger than we're seeing on the screen now. Now we saw after turn 9 it actually swapped to Whirlum Frost King. Now this is kind of interesting, and I don't think I've talked about this before. As the clan boss goes up inside the turn count, the damage scaling of his hit, since it's all based on the health of your enemy instead of anything else, it will actually change targets directly because of that. I haven't figured out the exact math on that, but I can tell you once the damage jumps a certain threshold, it does look at a mix between health and defense when picking its stun target. As we can see, it is now returned to Alton here, and it's pretty much going to be rotating throughout this entire fight. Overall, there's a ton of potential with Kreela because every single ability she has is actually damage dealing ability. And now the main thing that means, on top of the fact that she does a lot of damage from her multipliers, she also has the ability to proc War Master for every single ability she uses, which is actually huge and definitely increases her damage potential. Now I don't have a video, and unfortunately I deleted the screenshot of it. However, I did test a team with Alton, Dracomorph, and all 3 ally attack champions of the game, which includes Kreela Witcharm, Lonicus, as well as Longbeard, and out of all of the champions, Kreela did the most damage in that team. I tested about 8 or 9 times, so that was a really cool find, making her the hardest hitting ally attack champion available if everyone's stats are completely the same, so that's definitely something to consider. Now obviously Lonicus does have the benefit of extending the duration of buffs as long as increasing the turn meter. And everybody knows that Longbeard has his advantage where he increases the damage that the allies participating in that ally attack do by 20%. However, in my opinion, Kreela still takes the crown as the strongest ally attack champion currently available in a clan boss setting. So now that we've gone over that, I'm going to wait until this run is over, show you the final recap, and we will go over that damage then. Alright, so as we can see from this run ended up turning out to be 37.38 million damage dealt, 6 million from Alton, 6.9 from Whirlin, which is very impressive since he was getting stunned, on top of him having that defense up and strength and ability that actually doesn't hit the boss. So a lot of damage from him. And finally Kreela Witcharm with 7 million damage. Really awesome to see from an ally attack champion. Valkyrie coming in at 6 million, and Dracomorph, obviously the main damage dealer, coming out with 11.3 million damage. Now that I've gone over that, I do want to show you the best runs that I have had with this team composition based on RNG. So the best run that I ended up doing with this team is actually 43.07 million damage in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. So it did last significantly longer than the last run that was only 8 minutes and 37 seconds. Alton ended up dying, I think, 2 stuns early on the live run that I just showed you there. On this, the recap was 8.3 million from Alton, 7.2 from Whirlin, 7.6 from Kreela, 6.7 from Valkyrie, and 13 million from Dracomorph. Now getting to the speed team that I talked about, if you don't want to use a counterattack champion, this is the speed team I ran. I did use Kreela and Lonicus. What I did here was I saw the synergy with attack up and increased crit rate that both Kreela and Lonicus gave, as well as the increased crit damage and speed buff that Mashald has. So the really cool part about this run, and I wish I saved the gear on this and took a video of it before I swapped the gear off to make the counterattack team, is all 5 of these champions are actually wearing Relentless gear. The most impressive part about this is 40, almost 41 million damage in 6 minutes and 34 seconds. So that was absolutely incredible. Breaking down the damage really quickly, 7.3 million from Alton, 6.2 from Mashald, 9 million from Kreela, 5 million from Lonicus, and then 12.8 from Dracomorph. This team did not last as many rounds as the counterattack as you probably could imagine, but the damage was so close, and the time was almost 3 minutes less than that counterattack run, which is awesome. And especially if you want to be efficient with time, the double ally attack, if you do have these champions, is a lot of fun to watch. Now this is definitely a very hard team to build since it does require 5 relentless stats with good enough gear to perform an Ultra Nightmare. So this is probably not a team you're going to replicate very easily. This is more of like a for fun thing that I did want to try. And as I was talking about before, I actually did run, instead of Mashald, Longbeard in that spot, and that was another really cool run. Longbeard was in Relentless gear, and it was awesome to see all of these champions getting extra turns. So I really wish I could have showed you guys that. What I'm probably going to do is wait for more bizarre accessories that have a chance to prevent any cooldowns from happening when a skill is used. Put them on all of these champions, come back here and aim for that 50 million key with a triple ally attack, or even with the double ally attack and Mashald. I think this is a really cool team to showcase, and it also gives us something to look forward to in another video. So now what I want to do is I do want to go over the gear I use on these champions, just in case you're curious and you want to replicate this. So I am using one bizarre piece, which is the refresh ring on Kreela Witcharm, which is very strong on an ally attack champion if it procs. You have 38,000 health, 3,200 defense, 3,400 attack, 192 speed, 95 crit rate, 245 crit damage. Resistance and accuracy don't matter for this champion. She is in stalwart gear. As far as masteries go, she has the typical clan boss mastery tree. Pretty much everyone is running, including the Longbeard that I'm not using, but everyone is using this standard Ultra Nightmare clan boss build here. And all we have to do is find Dracomorph. There he is. So they're all using that. Now that we're on Dracomorph, let's go over his gear. He's also in Stalwart gear as well as Cruel gear. He has 37,000 health, 3,100 attack, 3,000 defense, 199 speed, 77 crit rate, 244 crit damage, and 254 accuracy. Now, he's definitely not built as well as I would personally like. I feel like I could have gotten rid of the Stalwart gear that I have on him, given him regular speed gear, given him way more defense, and in doing so, I could have gotten better results out of him, further increasing the amount of damage this key can do. Now that I'm remembering, I did use Whirlem Frost King for this, so here are his masteries. And moving on to his gear, he's running a speed set and Cruel set. I know he doesn't need attack, but I wanted him for that ignore defense. So we have 30,000 health, 5,000 defense, which is awesome since he scales really well and he can hit really hard, as you saw from the video. 223% crit damage, 91% crit rate, and 195 speed. So all in all, this is a typical counterattack team with speeds from 191 to 200. You always want your debuffer being Dracomorph being the fastest champion. It doesn't really matter where the other champions go. The only thing I would recommend is making sure whoever's taking the stun goes after Dracomorph so they get the benefit from the ally attack, and make sure Kreela is always going third in the rotation. So you want her to be the third fastest champion in the entire run, making it Dracomorph, the champion getting stun, which for me was Alton, and then once that stun wears off, Kreela has the chance, if the cooldown is up, to use that ally attack to give the option to get your stun soaker a chance to be a part of that ally attack. The next champion we have is Alton in that Stalwart gear as well as a 2-piece accuracy set. He has the lowest health on the team. To make sure the early stuns are focused towards him, he has 4,400 defense, 197 speed, 88 crit rate, 245 crit damage, as well as 263 accuracy. Final champion we have here is in fact Valkyrie. She is not wearing Stalwart because you would never need it on a Valkyrie who stacks so much defense. So we can see she's in 2 speed sets as well as an immortal set. She has 7,000 defense, 40,000 health, 191 speed, being the slowest champion on that team, 92% crit rate, and 170 crit damage. Now it turns out I do still have my Mashald built, so in case you were wondering what kind of gear was on that speed team, this is a really good example of what was on all of the champions. As we can see, that 4-piece relentless set, and then we have a speed set. Looking at his total stats, we had just under 39,000 health on Mashald, 3,900 attack, making him hit pretty hard, 2,200 defense, so on the lower side. Like I said, this team did die very early, but it got an incredible amount of damage in that time. All of the speeds were random, none of it was tuned. This wasn't a 2-to-1 ratio by any means. I did consider that, but the speed requirements are much higher, being in the 250 speed range, so I elected to go with this. 295 accuracy to make sure he was landing that leech debuff, giving the whole team some sustain. 239 crit damage and 88% crit rate. So all of the champions in Relentless had very similar stats to that. Obviously, besides Alton, who is a defense-based champion, where I stacked defensive Relentless gear on him to improve his damage in that aspect. Alright guys, that covers it for my first Kreela Witcharm Clan Boss team video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what else you want to see Kreela do in the Clan Boss. If you have any ideas, if you want me to use ally attack champions in a 2-to-1 speed ratio, let me know. I'm more than happy to build that if you have interest in a video of that. You can think of any other cool interactions between ally attack champions in the Clan Boss. Once again, I'm all ears. I did consider running 4 ally attack champions as well as a Dracomorph for someone like that. It was really cool to watch, but it did not do a lot of damage, unfortunately. It was probably, and I think someone in Twitch chat said it the best, it was the greatest geared Clan Boss team to ever 4-key an Ultra Nightmare ever. Since it wasn't running an attack down champion, I'm actually surprised it pulled off the 4-key, because surviving long without attack down in Ultra Nightmare is a very difficult thing to do, and I kind of figured that I would end up with 10 million damage, maybe 15, but I did get over 20 million damage, so that was pretty cool, just for fun and to watch. So let me know what you guys think. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my future videos. Like this video, and I will see you all in the next upload.